Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today I'm going to guide you through painting this adorable Flutterfint. This is Flutterfint 2.0, the second time that I have done a butterfly elephant, so if you love him, he has another matching painting that you could do that's super cute. But I'm going to break this down for you guys step by step. I'm going to explain every tool, every technique, every brush, everything that I'm doing. To help me do that is my husband, John.
Hello.
He's going to make sure that as I'm demonstrating a technique or explaining something, you can really see it clearly by making sure that our cameras are pointing or zoomed in so that you can see everything that's happening on the palette. And that way you can paint this for yourself at home very easily. Now, I rate my paintings in levels of difficulty because I've been on for many years, like 7 years. And I now have painters that have been with me since I've been like day one. So we have to complicated beginner lessons and then all the way to very fun introductory beginner lessons. This is what we call the one hoot. It's introductory, which means it's super beginner friendly. All ages, all levels of painter. Now I have a lot of resources and tools that I provide to you guys to make the painting experience easier. What?
So many.
So many. So many tools. So right now on the website, if you go through the description below, you can see the materials, everything that I'm using. If you go to the website, you will find a traceable that you can print out. So if you don't like to draw, which by the way, that's okay, you can use that to transfer on the canvas. If you've never transferred an image on the canvas, I have a video about how to do that. It's not too long. For this, we're also going to be breaking it down into steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. That later will be time stamped so you can find your spot again. Those steps will match a mini book that we write that's released 7 to 10 days after the show. Those are written instructions that match each step of the video. And as if that isn't enough, there is a 6-minute time lapse so you can watch the design process of how I created this elephant, see my design process and thinking where I changed my mind, what I did. And a short, if you don't have 6 minutes, it's a minute. It's so there's all those resources
So
for you.
convenient for you.
Just try to make it possible because here's what I know. You can do this if you have enough support. You can totally paint if you have enough support. And that is what I have been committed to online here the whole time, is just making sure you guys have support. If you're in the live today, put your questions all in caps. The moderators will help you find any information that you're looking for. You might even get your question answered live in the show. And if you're here after, be sure and put your question in the comments. I check videos from 7 years ago. I check my channel every day for questions. And I can't get to everything, but I try to get to as much as I can every single day. So it's still worth it to put a comment in an old video. I might be able to help you with whatever you're going through in your art experience.
Absolutely.
You guys ready to hop on in and get started with this? It's going to be a fun day.
Yeah, and once we get to once we get to you painting the background, and I'm going to ask a couple questions from everybody.
Oh, I love that. All right, so let's go over the materials real quick, and then we'll put the background in. This is a 9x12 canvas. Here is the original that I did, right? And he's real cute, and it's what he's going to look like when he's done. Over here in materials, you don't need that hair. I have Mars Black, Quinacridone Magenta, Cad Yellow Medium. That's yellow. Cad Red Medium.
It's a color?
Phthalo Blue, Phthalo Green, Dioxazine Purple, and Titanium White. Now, on this painting, you don't need to have these exact colors. You could just have close enough colors because it's a very decorative painting, so it doesn't really require deep color mixing from you, okay? So don't feel a lot of pressure on that. I think we can throw up our step. I'm going to grab my towel. I'm going to roll away and grab my towel. That I forgot. I always have a towel in my lap for paint brushes. All right, shall we throw up step 1? Thank you. I'll put in the background, which is the easiest one. Now, you don't have to put the background in this way. I just find that it's fun and easy when I've got to paint a background all one color to do something goofy like this. Look at me. I'm just going goofy. All right, so that just gives me a little bit of paint on. Now, I have a lot of experience, so I know how much paint that I need. You can just paint your whole canvas black, and believe it or not, you can buy those black. I'm going to use a mister to sort of moisten the canvas and just spread this paint out with my big brush. This is a number 30 Simply Simmons bright brush.
Now, while you're doing that, could you explain the difference? Because Stanley was asking the difference between impasto paste and light modeling paste, if there is any.
I would have to look at the company because sometimes the companies just name their products things, and I have to kind of look what's in it. But generally, I would say they're very similar products.
Yeah.
right? But again, with companies like glazing liquid, right, that we have from Golden is a slow drying extender, and from Liquitex is only a glazing medium that dries very quickly, and you cannot do any blending with it. So sometimes you have to really read those packages. Can't hang out today, says the bug. I have 2 work things going on during grad school of this module, but wishing y'all the happiest bubbles and goofiness. Well, I hope you have a great day at school today, bug. We love them very much.
To get the educations.
Yes, must get the educations. So I'm just painting this all black. I just want a nice black surface to start with. Again, you can sometimes buy canvases that are already black or use black gesso too. Do make sure you kind of come around the edge if you're going to frame. And this is a great canvas to paint all the sides if you want to. But at least the edges so that during the framing process, you don't see the white of the canvas if you frame. I'm going to rinse out my brush. Remember to wash your brushes thoroughly after every painting session. Acrylic paint dried in brushes really ruins them. Oh, I see Heather C. We're celebrating 26 months for Emoji Club. I love it. I'm going to dry this when we come back. I am going to tell you what we're going to do next, which is pretty fun and easy.
Yeah, so we'll just quickly give this a thorough dry. Let that, because as you go on to the next layer, you don't want any of this to be wet because it'll stick to your hands, it'll stain, it'll muddy up the colors of the next layer. So thoroughly dry it. And you know, if you have one of those really thick canvases that hang on the wall, you know, where there's not staples around the edge and they can just hang on the wall, sometimes you may want to paint the black all the way around the edges. But if you're going to frame it, that's not such a big deal. So it may take a little extra time here to kind of, you know, get that. But as you see, the sheen is all becoming one uniform color. Oh, thank you, Heather. All one uniform sort of shininess that makes it so you can see that it's getting thoroughly dry. So, but yeah, make sure you get it dry, and that way and you see as she's going around the outside edges, especially if you paint around the edges, because that's where you'll find the mysterious creeping bit of black on the edge that will catch you, because you'll be like, but that was like I painted the surface black at the beginning of the painting. Why is it still wet? It's like a mystery. There's always a little edge if you don't get them.
Woo! I saw Carly asked if there were any other elephant tutorials. There are many. There is this one today, of course, and then there is its matching sibling, which is a flutterfint walking forward. Very cute. There's also 2 elephants making a heart with their trunks in a sunset. There is the Bohemian elephant, which is very decorative and pretty. And then there's also a little baby elephant blowing bubbles. And then I have an elephant in watercolor on the watercolor channel, or it could be here. I have a watercolor elephant.
Yes.
So, a few. We like the elephants over here.
All right.
Let's make sure our surface is really, really dry.
Next on to the next step.
We're going to go on to the next step. Anne Marie and Heather C., thank you both so much for your generous contributions. Anne is super excited for today's lesson. I am super excited for today's lesson because I love getting back to the one hoots and getting back to the beginning. Now, I'm going to demonstrate drawing this out. And you can totally do that with me. I'm going to use a tool called a Dritz Taylor's chalk tool. You get this at Joann's. It's just chalk like what you use in a chalkboard, but in this cool cartridge thingamajiggy. And I like it. You could also just use chalk, or you could use the traceable right now. This is when you would use the traceable. But I'm going to sit there and kind of sketch out the general shape and scope of my elephants. So I'm going to come here and start giving myself an idea of scale. So I'm going to put in a little forehead, as you do. You know, and it's so interesting because when you design these out, when I was designing him out, I made so many different changes on him. And you can see that where I was like, no little ivory. Yes, ivory. Change the butterfly wings. I just, you know, kind of thought about that. Now the trick to the trunk is I'm going to come down, make a nice little dip, and come back. You just want to have a great little sort of curve here so that when you put in the trunk, it has nice flow. Now I tend to do little scallops here. It's kind of decorative, but it really helps you feel like it's a trunk. All right, and we're going to come back. And I think actually I may move that up. So see, that's what the sketching thing is for, is when you see how does the scale kind of work here. I'll come up and put in his little tusk, and that will help me with my placement. So drawing is an art skill like painting, and a lot of people think that drawing is the best indicator if you're creative or an artist. And I'll know many artists that are very good at drawing that would like you to think that that's true, because it's quite a very good way to gatekeep creativity. But what I will tell you is everything in art is just a skill or a technique that you learn. You will have skills or techniques that come to you easily, skill or techniques that you have to work at, and drawing is just a skill or technique. It is not the end all be all of all things art. That said, it is a lot of fun, and I highly recommend it. And just like painting, you can learn it, and it's very enjoyable, and it will make your art practice better. But what I do notice is sometimes artists who have invested in their drawing skill will try to convince other people that they have to be able to draw too, which is, that's not what makes you an artist. Making art makes you an artist. It's really all it takes. Pretty chill. Which is kind of nice. We're making a little sort of bean eye here. See, it looks like a little pinto bean. Just a simple fun eye. And I am going to put in a little cheek. And then the butterfly wings, if we have them in kind of nicely, come right here. Might need to move that eye forward. And comes up and arcs over. So sometimes I'll be putting stuff in and I'm like, oh, I want you to move over here. See how that does? You just move things in relationship to each other. All right, got the little eye there. There he is. He's just basically in. We'll do the little bubbles in after we get our little elephant in, because those are super fun to put in. All right. When you are happy with your butterfly wings and you are happy with the placement of everything, if you use the traceable, you have exactly what I have in the reference. But remember, even if you drew this out and yours is a little different than mine, that doesn't make it not okay. It's perfectly okay. We're being artists here. We're not trying to be copy machines. That's not our goal in life, to be copy machines.
Right.
Okay, we'll call that a step. I'll say that that was pretty fun. I'm going to sip my coffee, take a deep breath, just release the week. Let's just let that week go, right? Just let that week go. Unless it was a very good week, and then let's celebrate the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had a pretty kind of okay week, you know.
Yeah?
You know, we've getting a lot done.
Mm-hmm.
Just on the general stuff, and it's actually been, for me, kind of interesting because as you've seen all the little astronomy telescope stuff,
Oh yeah.
knowing that we're going to be close to the Cary Dark Sky Reserve soon is making me go, you know, there's stars in the sky. I'll get to see them again.
There are stars in the sky. Okay, I'm going to grab a basic brush. This is a number 8 Simply Simmons Bright. You could do a number 10. We just want a nice brush that we have control over. Have we put up a step? Thank you, Staline.
Yeah, we're on step 3.
Okay, so we're going to come here.
We can re-3 if you want.
Nah, it's okay.
Okay.
I'm going to take a little bit of my white and mix it into my purple. And I'm going to come here into my butterfly wing up here. Very carefully paint that in. Now there is some brush directionality that I'm using. That means the direction of my brush stroke. I use the corner of my brush to sort of get the edge of the wing, and then I'll curve around. And then we're going to curve this in with the flow of the wing. Can you see that?
I can see it.
Now, if you're having a ton of trouble covering the black with your purple and white, what you can do as a fix is paint it white first, dry it thoroughly, and then do the purple and white. If you're painting very inexpensive paint, it may give you some grief as to, you know, how it covers. Just does. You can see me getting water on occasion and just making sure the paint is flowing off my brush. And this is kind of a relaxing, fun part of the painting process. I might need to get a little closer into me.
Now, if you wanted to go a different pattern with your butterfly,
sure.
You could say, like, I really want to be a moth butterfly. You could put moth wings on there.
Sure. Why wouldn't you be able to? What would stop you?
See, I know it's.
I think that's the best thing about art. Just ask yourself, what would stop me?
Most people automatically go to the butterfly, but you know, the moth is underrated.
Are you just? Did somebody ask that, or did you just go find your own?
No, Mothman was the tick's sidekick, and you know.
Oh, okay, all right. So we're just gonna paint this in, curving these out. Well, John waxes on about his Mothman. You can see that I'm very carefully loading. Notice something that I'm doing here if you're really new to painting. I don't scoop in the center of my paint. A lot of people, they're inclined to try to scoop in the center of their paint. And I see a lot of teachers will give that as an example, which isn't really a great example, but it's a thing that sometimes people learn in painting parties. And the reason you come out here, this is called, I call this the landing strip, but what I'm doing is I'm loading my brush and I am containing like my paint management so it doesn't go everywhere. Right? So I have nice paint, my paint stays clean, and that's what keeps my palette fairly clean. And it's, you know, those are weird things that you would not organically know, guys. Now I can grab a little pink on here if I like, and I sometimes do. And just kind of come back from the inside out, just for fun. On the edge of my brush, flicking out. It's just a little dynamic joy. Little purple. I've got this bit here. It's a little bit. I think I want to move my head down a little, so I'm gonna give my wing more room.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Because I want it to have a little more, so I can paint more of the pattern. Oh my goodness, thank you, Rebecca. I so appreciate that. Let's come here now. You can see I use the corner of the brush when I want to have a little more control in small areas, and that is something you can do if you're having a little trouble with your brush. Learning to steer the brush or drive the brush is one of those first things that you've got to kind of work out as a new artist, and it can be a little frustrating. Try to remember that every part of the head of the brush, that's this part here,
you keep turning it, yeah.
So you can use it. All right, those are the start of our elephant butterfly wings. Let's dry this thoroughly, and then we'll come on and do the next step.
Okay. Yeah, so you can just a big part about doing the layers here is to thoroughly dry. Acrylic will, if it does, it will do this thing where it's called skinning, and that's just where just the top surface will dry, especially when it gets thick, and it will, and the paint on your paintbrush will grip that thin dried paint and then tear it off, and it'll sort of tear away, leaving a skin of paint pulled away. So it doesn't, if you thoroughly dry it, you won't have that sort of delamination or happen.
It also prevents you from dragging paint all over the canvas too, which you can do, especially if you're painting flat. So I've changed brushes here. This is a number 6 filbert. You could do a number 8 filbert. It might actually be easier to do a number 8 filbert just because it's a little bit bigger. We'll see how that goes. But anywhere in here is just fine. And we're going to start by painting our elephant a little bit gray. So I'm going to take a bit of my black and some white. And you can see I'm bringing a little white over here, and I'm mixing them together. Again, not coming to the middle of the paint plop, which really helps me manage my paint. And I'm going to just start working in my little gray. It's fun to do. It takes a lot of white to tone black, to shade the to tint the black, but it takes very little black to shade the white. So that's sort of an interesting thing that you will learn as you're going in your paint management. Very carefully paint behind the wings. It's kind of a dark gray, you know, initially coming back here. Now I can always come in with a little more white, and notice how I come kind of to the edge of the gray that I mixed. And that's how I'm going to have an easier time getting a lighter gray. If I try to keep coming back in that same area, I'm going to have to use more and more and more white paint to lighten that gray. But if I come into that edge where I can have some control, it will let me lighten it really well. Notice that I'm sort of flicking the brush and allowing it to blend wet into the paint. Create a little dimensionality here with that. Keeps it soft. Dip my brush in water, wipe it off on a paper towel. I'm going to come around the front and come into the darker gray. See, it's very easy for me to darken that gray. Come around. I will go ahead and kind of get this all in.
Now, while you're doing that,
See how I'm curving this edge here, though?
Yeah.
Notice I'm coming on the edge of the brush and curving the edge. That's how I'm getting that edge. While I'm doing this,
that your paint is on a funky paper there.
oh, so this is a wet palette by Masterson's Sta-wet palette, and what this does is it allows me to keep my paint wet over several days and through an entire painting session. So it's saving me money in the long run. If you paint all the time like I do, it ends up being a very good expense. You can use disposable palette paper. I've seen people just do a lot of different things. Don't use glass from a frame, though. That's an internet tip that's out there, and it's a really dangerous tip. But there's a lot of options out there for palettes. Plastic and wood tends to be a little tough with acrylic paint because it dries on it and it doesn't stay nice. I am doing a lighter gray up here at the top of his little head. I'm going to come here and we're going to make the little bumps for the trunk. So bump, 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 bump. See, I'm using the edge of the brush to create the bumps. The bumps can get smaller.
It's so bumpy.
What? All right, and get a little smaller bumps going.
You know what? It sounds like there's a small herd of elephants
It
upstairs.
does. I was just thinking I hear elephants
Little
upstairs.
just dum, 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 dum.
Getting a slightly darker gray going. There we go. Just coming in. Painting around the nice little tusk that he has there.
I think what's happened here is that one child has read a text that you sent a long time ago that sent them to go get another child, and the next child's like, "Why am I being sent down here while your eyes are live?" There's a mistake happening.
There is. I'm not even near my phone, so it can't be
I know,
me.
right? This is like I said,
I'm going
old
to add a
message.
little bit of light gray right here above the trunk. Kind of just talking about the cheek at first. Notice how I'm kind of going back and forth. And I move the brush. I go flip, 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 flip. And I can use the edge to soften that. Just a place to go. Now, if I have hard edges there, what I do is I get my brush clean and I add a little water. And I can soften the edges, see? Just fun stuff. Okay, let's call that a step. And when we come back, I'll show you what you're going to do next.
You're gonna dry it, right?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely dry it. All the way dry.
Yeah, you gotta. make sure that, yeah, you get it thoroughly dry there. I was just sort of checking out all your guys' chat. If you haven't had a chance to join us in chat, definitely do that. One of the things we really love is hanging out with everybody and seeing you guys, trying to answer your questions, and it's just lovely to see anyone. I know this is a super simple painting. If you haven't painted before, this is a great place to start. Very easy. The brush strokes, as you can see, they don't have to be perfect. It's supposed to look painted. It's not supposed to look like a photographic elephant. So this is a great place to start. It's low pressure. You can really do this. And the bubbles are so fun when they get there. Lots of people,
so fun
they talk about bubbles.
And silly and easy. You're going to love them.
I'm going to give you another step.
Okay, give me a step. All right, so now I have a round brush. This brush, unfortunately, isn't available for sale anymore, but we will be making a new one soon. But what you're looking for is a round brush. Now, an equivalent to this brush is the Simply Simmons number 4. This is the Art Sherpa number 4, and you can see that they're similar in size. You're just looking for a nice brush that comes to a good point. And I'm going to come here, and what I'm going to do, believe it or not, is I'm going to come into my white paint. I'm going to come right here in from my little forehead, and I'm going to put in an eye. So it's a little arcward up. And then a little matching arc. You remember we kind of had that in from earlier, right? And let's come here, and we're going to go ahead and paint in the little trunk while we're at it. Why not? The little tusks. They're not very sharp though. We don't make them sharp tusks. We don't do that at all. I'm going to go ahead and get a lot of black onto my brush. And I can even come around that tusk and look, I can kind of shape that, can't I? Come inside my eye with a little bit of black. I can make a fairly dark gray. Kind of come above the little eye. See how we're doing? And I leave a little bit of that light there.
Yeah.
Come back into my light gray, and you can see I'm mixing this around. Notice how I'm just sort of swirling around the white with my brush, and then if I need a light, and I kind of move out. So you see I have shades of gray. That's brush management. And come here and kind of create a little lid. Look at that little lid. And a little bit here. Maybe a little bit sort of at the top of his head. If I need to improve the flow of my brush, I can dip in water. And I use the brush, and notice how I wiggle it to sort of blend this in.
Yeah.
Now I'm not pressing so hard that I'm breaking the bristles or I'm hurting anything. I'm just using the motion very lightly on the wet paint to sort of diffuse it out and shade it. Come down the front here. Now, we're not really worried about a light source on this little guy, right? He is what we would consider kind of a decorative or illustrated painting, right? We're not doing hyper-realism here by any means. We're painting somebody fun and enjoyable. Kind of come here and even add a little bit of that. But that doesn't mean that we can't use light and dark to create form, like make his trunk feel a little bit round or him to feel like he has a lid. When you're doing serious observational art, right, like you might really pay attention to where is the light in my painting. But even on paintings where we're not really doing that, you can still use light and dark to create form and shape and depth. Come around the back side, kind of smooth that up. Look how we're doing. That just looks really nice, doesn't it? While I'm here at this last minute, I'm going to go ahead and come in a little bit behind the eye. Kind of put in that little whites of his eye there. See that? It's just a little touch, but it does kind of make a difference. I'm rinsing out. I'm going to go back and get a little white again. A little more white. Highlight this right here. Highlight that right there on that inner corner. So put a little highlight there, a little inner corner highlight, and a little bit at the top of the eye. If I need to add any white to his little tusk, I can do that right now, just to brighten it. You could do him very big on a nursery wall with very little difficulty, okay? He's really easy to do. Now let's dry him thoroughly, and then we're going to work on the butterfly's wings a little bit. Doesn't that sound fun? I think it's going to be really fun.
Great place to go.
Take a deep breath. Relax your body. Remember, art is supposed to be enjoyable and calm. Okay, let's dry.
Just dry. Yeah. This is, we're getting to the more detailed parts where we're going to end up adding some cool butterfly wing stuff. And then we'll add some eye and makeup details, and then probably do some lining, and then some. I can't wait for the bubbles. They're so rainbowy and awesome. And once you learn to do them, I mean, I've seen people post that they just end up bubbling everything. And what's great is you can actually paint these bubbles on just about anything with acrylic paint because it can stick to almost anything. So you can bubble your walls, you can bubble your furniture, and since you own all that stuff, your parents can't tell you no. Unless you're living with your parents, then you should ask permission first. But seeing as you probably shouldn't take advice from just some random guy on the internet, there you go. Especially when it comes to painting your furniture. So, yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you so much, Six. I really appreciate that. It means a lot.
Next step.
It's actually really great right now because I'm putting in an order for canvases today. So thank you. I appreciate it. I'm like, woohoo, getting some canvases today. Because we were like, we're six. We're on step 6?
Yeah.
And 6 gave us.
Yeah, that was it.
That's meta. Okay, I'm fine. I'm going to take my round brush and I'm going to pull out, you notice from this side now, a little bit of pure white. I've rinsed the brush out to make sure there's no gray in it or in my water. And I'm going to show you a cool trick for butterfly wings. So I'm going to come here to this inside edge. From the halfway point down, I'm going to make a little bit of a line. And I'm going to taper that line so it's thickest up here and then it becomes thinner because I release the pressure of my brush. And then I bring a little curve in, and that is the first of a butterfly wing patterny thing. I'm going to come up here a little bit higher than this one. And it's shorter. One. Doesn't have to be perfect. So the white doesn't have to be perfectly covering the purple. We're just creating an area where the yellow and red will be able to show, because even on good paint, yellow can be very transparent. I see Marion is saying hi to everybody, and I want to say hi back. And oh, even looks cute, even like that too. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. All right, let's come here. We're going to add in another little, this one should go a little bit longer. Curving that in. Just this. And then we'll pull in another little one here. So that gives us, that's where the inner sort of orange will go. Then I'll put a little kind of dot of orange there. And then one there. And then we're going to make a series of them coming down. I like to have about 4, and it's the biggest here, and it gets kind of smaller as it comes down. Don't forget, this one should peek out some of that orange. So that's what I like to do, is kind of imply that that's there, even though it's on that inside edge. And Gwendolyn says, hi, we love you guys. Hi, Gwendolyn. Hi, Tammy. I see everybody. Yeah. I want to also say, Milky Girl says, cute to add a handkerchief to on his trunk. Oh, that would be. And Lindell's like throwing up the elephant emojis, as is Lulabelle. I gotta get new patron emojis, the emoji club emojis.
Oh, yeah.
But I cannot get in there.
Huh.
That's the only reason I haven't changed them out or updated them for you guys, is I seem to be locked out of my emoji updating system. But at least we have some custom ones to play with right now. Hope it's not a feature they're getting rid of, because I really like it. We're going to do, again, a line here, pulling back on this lower wing. 1, 3. So notice this one's a little bit longer and shorter. Here we go. Isn't this just an easy way to do a butterfly wing? I love this so much. There we go. There's the 3 on the bottom wing. And then again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Isn't that great? Yeah. And since I'm here, guess what I also get to do? I get to come here, and I'm going to get some paint just on the tip of my brush here. Put a little double reflection in the eye. Look at that. I love it. And I might also, again, lighten the area under the cheek. Notice that I'm sort of blending it out using this back and forth light scumbly motion. And I'm letting it be lighter. That's when I come put the pink in. The pink will get to show here very nicely and give him a nice little blush. So just soft pressure. I'm not ruining my brush. I'm not hurting the bristles. I'm just going very softly. And you can even get your finger in there because it's just white paint, so you'll be okay. Yeah. Everyone's throwing up their custom emojis going, we got some. Let's try this, and then we'll put the color in the wing.
All right. Yeah, the white, you paint the white in so that the next layers of color really pop. And if you're using a really nice pro paint, sometimes that's not as necessary because they're very opaque. But even in yellows and reds, it's better to throw the white down because it'll really make the colors pop out a lot stronger against those darker backgrounds. And so that's kind of what that's all about. So thoroughly dry, and then we'll get to the color part of the painting.
Coming in so fast and easy, isn't he?
Super fast.
Super fast, super easy, super fun. I'll try to keep these fun ones coming. We did the Wish Girl recently, and I got him coming in. I'll try to make sure that I keep some of these fun, just entry-level paintings coming in. And remember, we've got the beginner color mixing course coming soon. John and I were working on it again yesterday. You guys are going to go so crazy for it.
It's so comprehensive. Like, we just keep going through there, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a whole thing. I'm going
to
load some yellow onto my brush and get a smidge of my Cad Red. We're going to try to make a yellow-orange, right? I'm going to come into the inside of this with my yellow-orange. See, I'm doing a little yellow-orange right there. And that's what I mean by yellow can be a little bit transparent. So it's nice to get this white underneath so that it can be very bright. Just coming in on the lower half of our bottom little markings. Those aren't really, they don't really have two-tone on them, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Now I'm going to come in and add a lot more red, and so now it's more of a red-orange. And I paint all the white out, and see how that gives you the two-tone in the wing? You can be a lot more red at the top if you want. And you can even come down and blend in more yellow. So you've got some leeway to make adjustments here, okay? Don't feel trapped, you're not. I do sometimes need some more water to improve flow. That's okay. Here we go. Look at him go. Just coming in.
It's very nice.
Just fun. I like this part. Now I might grab a little more red. You know, that adds some like dynamic range. Oh my goodness, Gwendolyn, thank you so much. And I love the thumbs up. Thank you. See how we're adding a little more red there? It just gives it some drama. We like to say around here, if you're very new here, we have an old saying, which is drama in my art, not in my life. I want drama in my art. Not in my life, but definitely want it in my art. It's okay to have a little drama in your art. Just go through there. Okay, so we have these here. And then we're going to get a nice little orange. And let's add the orange here. Oh, thank you, Trish. I appreciate that so much. Really appreciate that.
So much.
Thank you. Just do our little orange. You can have it be more orange, less orange. It's all fine. Thank you, thank you. And I love the little heart emojis. They're just painting in those little areas that we made earlier. It's a Trish party. The big thing is I just like to make sure that I've got the white all covered up with the orange. And once I have that done, I can always come back with just a lot more yellow. Kind of even two-tone those up more. Isn't that great? Just brightens and brightens and brightens. See how we add just a little bit extra. Okay. That looks really good. Rinse out super thoroughly. Yes, now I can get extra canvases.
Yes.
I want you guys to know that the store is coming along very nicely. And yes, we have the watercolor kits right now in the store.
We have a meeting.
But soon, 500 brushes and so many canvases and all the stuff. And I have special packs for Acrylic April for you guys. Like,
yeah, this
to make
week,
Acrylic April this much easier. You can't, I believe it.
This week we're having meetings with the tech team
Yeah.
about things. So we might even have like firm dates this coming week.
A firm day would be amazing.
Like, this is our launch window.
Let's call this a step.
All
and
right,
then come back and do some white lining real fast.
White lining, yeah. That'll be fun. That'll trim out some of this stuff and it make it a little more poppy. So you just want to give it a quick dry so you don't drag your hands or brush in any of those things. So just looking over here and reading all of the chat, guys. Oh, this is. I'll try to get some of these questions answered up in here. You guys are. You know what? You guys, I really enjoy being in chat with you too. So you make me smile, and it's all fun. Always fun. So
While we're here, we can blush his cheek.
That's a good thing.
We're going to take a little bit of our Quinacridone Magenta and some titanium white. You can see I'm sort of mixing it thinly on the brush. And just blush his cheek a little bit. Isn't that cute? A little bit of a pink blush. I like that very much. Rinse that out. It's a weird thing to be into, but I just, you know, my owls and all my stuff, they usually have some extra little something. And I like his extra little pink. Rinsing out thoroughly. Now I'm going to go back into my white, load it up on the toe of my brush. See how I kind of do a twirl and go. And I'm going to come here and add a little bit of a white outline to the back of the wing. A little bit down the front of the wing. A little bit to this wing. It's a very light line. It's not even a complete outline, right? We're just capturing some of that. I can come in and load a little more white on here. 1, 2, 3, 4 inside my orange spots. And I can even add little dots to the outside of the wing. Look at that. Coming on that back side, it gives it some pattern. Come on the front of him. Just a little bit, just to help him. There we go. Just a little bit on the front of the trunk, kind of gives it some dimensionality. I don't really need much more than there. So now we're going to do bubbles. Loading this on the toe of my brush. I'm going to draw little circles with as light a line as I can. Now the great thing about bubbles is they're very rarely just round. See a big circle and a little circle. Just do a nice big bubble there. That's a nice big bubble. So these little white lines are where our bubbles are going to go. You just put in the number of bubbles that you want. You could have tons of bubbles. You can have 1 or 2 bubbles. It's really your painting to do with as you see fit. Kind of see sometimes I go around my little circle a couple of times. And that is okay. I'm going to do a bubble that is coming off of here and attached. I like that very much. I usually do that in my bubbles. And let's do a bubble here. Perfect. That's all we got to do for the bubbles. Now we're going to dry this and we come back. I'm going to show you the trick to do bubbles. It's so much easier than you think.
Yeah. Bubbles are really part of my favorite. I love seeing them done. As I said earlier, just get bubbles all over the place, and they're really not difficult to do. People talk about once they get the bubble trick down that they like to, bubble away, and I can understand the draw to do that kind of bubbling. So,
okay.
Next is another step.
Still on my round brush.
Step, right?
Yep, this is a step. I'm going to start with my magenta. So I'm going to take my magenta and I'm going to load it onto my round brush. I'm going to come here and I'm going to come on the inside of this. I might need a little white into it so we can see it. And then I'm going to come the opposite end on the bubble. Little white and pink. Let's do it again. Going opposite ends. Tinier amounts on the little bubbles, right?
Tiny bubbles.
Maybe be a little pinker and thicker on this one, and that's okay. And then at the top. And a little bit at the top of that one. Look at us just wigging through, going through. Okay. Rinse out. Take a little of my red and yellow together. And come those opposite polars there. There we go. Opposite, opposite. That's fun. Isn't that fun? I'm going to take a little bit of my Phthalo Blue and Phthalo Green together, and it makes kind of a turquoise. Add a little white to it. Add a little bit on the inside now here. Now when I might come to the outside. Now it's looking pretty good. A little purple. Touching around a little purple here and there. Purple's a good one. Okay. We're going to dry this and come back. I'm going to show you what you do next.
Okay.
Oops, I dropped my towel.
That's okay. So yeah, you have to
Come back next step.
Yeah, you just gotta dry. You have to dry between these layers so that they can get the stacking effect as they build the depth of the bubble. So just have to make sure you thoroughly dry it real quick, and then we'll just have another step, and that'll make that super de-duper easy. At least that's my current theory on things.
Now, one thing that we can do is we can pop the colors a little bit on the bubbles by coming back now. I'm going to get my
do I need to
yellow.
give you another step now, don't I?
Yeah, it's another step.
Don't step ahead.
Don't step ahead. I'm going to come in and brighten some of this. Just coming in and brightening some of it. A little bit of orange. Now we're just popping them up a bit. Little magenta. Okay. And that's what you want to do. You just want to make sure that they're bright and poppy. You can, you know, pop your blue or green. Say I can pop a blue or green in here. There really just isn't too colorful. Dry everything and come back and I'll show you how we finish this out.
Yeah, it really is just super, super close to being done. Just these little layers. Oh, there. And little sparkles at the end. So, thank you guys for being here for all this. Don't forget to do all the little human-y social media things where you like, comment, subscribe, and share. Share the butterfly elephants. Let your butterfly elephants fly. Share them all over the webs, the intertubes, the series of connected pipes that bring data into our lives. I don't know what other abstractly incorrect comparisons to the internet I can make.
Now, I like to use 11. I like to use a small brush for this. You could keep using your round. I can just say that I like this for the edge that it gives me, and it's a small little edged detail brush. So if you have a small bright or small edged brush, it's a good brush for this. I'm going to load it into a little bit of white. I'm going to come here and very lightly dry brush out that reflection. Come on the opposite edge and dry brush out a reflection. Dry brushing means I don't have a lot of paint on the brush and I don't have a lot of water on the brush, so it'll leave a sort of dried little area. You can see that the edges let me get those sharp little reflections that you might expect to see on a bubble. Come back there and brighten those up. See how all of a sudden it just comes together? Yeah. It's wild how that works. Just in. I don't paint out, and I think it's very important to think about this, but I don't paint out the black. And that's because you want the bubbles to feel transparent. And the minute we start adding these little reflections, well, it just really starts to be a thing, doesn't it? Put that aside for a second. And again, you could do this with the round. I just like the way the square brush lets me do this. And I'm going to get a small detail brush for this last little bit if I can find one of the little guys. There's one. All right, so I'm going to use a small little detail brush. This is a number 1 liner. Just any monogram liner will be fine. I'm going to get it a bit wet. I'm going to bring over and thin my white paint. Now you can use fluid acrylic, but since this is a one hoot, I'm not pulling any fluid acrylic in. If you're like, why isn't she using the fluid acrylic? Because you might just not have that in your art studio right now. And what I'm talking about is white paint that is more fluid and better for lining. But, you know, that's something you get if you're painting all the time. So if you're going to paint all the time, definitely grab a bottle of that. But, you know, if today is just today, don't worry about it. I don't line the whole bubble, just some.
Just give it little sparkly edges.
Just something, yeah. Can even come in and just define that. It's just a nice little touch. Isn't that fun? Bubbles are one of those things that's really fun to do. I have a whole lesson that's just bubbles. I think I actually made a playlist of bubbles. Things with bubbles in them. Because I do bubbles with pouncers. That's the easy bubbles. Now I do think it's important to get the line in between the attached bubbles just so that they pull out as separate. That's a nice one that really reflects. Not making it another step, but I do want to dry everything real quick so I can put the sparkle on.
Right. Sometimes you just have to give it a quick. We could make it another step. So the sparkles can have their own step. We don't need to step on no sparkles. They can step on their own. So we'll let that happen here in just a minute. This quick dry.
Very dry. Very dry.
There it is. 12th step.
The 12 steps. 12-step elephant. All right. So I'm going to take my brush and I've got my thin white paint. And I'm going to pick a bubble. I guess I'll pick this bubble today. And I'm going to draw a little line. Up. Down. Across. Across, out, out, diagonally. Sparkle one. Big one here's got to have a sparkle, so I'm going to do a big one on him. Nice little sparkle on that one. Sometimes you can just do a four-prong sparkle or an X. That's sometimes okay too. X sparkle there. Maybe another big sparkle. There you go. Just little sparkles, little glitters. Then when you're all done, you put your signature on it.
And if you needed to, could you use a brush to brush off all of the chalk and stuff?
Oh yeah, I'll show you guys. Once your painting is all dry, I don't have any chalk left, do I? Yeah, so when you have chalk, chalk. You can take a damp brush with clean water on it. And it'll just go away. So it's pretty chill to clean up.
Yeah.
This is the Flutterfint 2.0. Isn't he cute? I know you guys did a great job. I know you're going to love your results. Tell everybody where they can do this if they're like, oh, I love that. I hope you had painting parties with your kids and your family members. If this is your first painting, welcome to being an artist. You're going to love it. It's so much fun. We have live lessons all week. Come back and try other stuff. I think you'll surprise yourself. Now, we have a reproduction painting coming up, I think, is it Tuesday or Thursday? Next week.
Coming up.
We're gonna do a Manet. It's just a fun little lilac painting. It's just a chew hoot. So if you like a floral and want an easy, fun one, it's from a classical painting. We're gonna be doing that really soon. I want you guys to be good to yourselves, be good to each other. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you at an easel real soon. Bye-bye.